You know, and they got the you and so they sell out, you know, 18,000 people, and my children. My children don't have jobs. I mean, so I give them money to go see these people that they want to see, and I think that's why they call me Mr. Cosby. Well, with my children. My daughter's got these things and holding the thing. Now, we're in the car. She's in the back seat. I'm in the front. You got the roar of the engine, and I'm listening to a football game. And I can hear coming out of her ears. And I'm saying to myself, man, she's got that thing up, and I can still hear it. What is she going to be hearing like later on? And so I said, let me have your phone. I put, those things will make your eyes go all, I mean, run, you know. And so they do what I did, but only it's bigger. And I don't understand.
You were talking about avoiding the bawdy material and the dirty stuff. Now, Eddie Murphy does a piece in his act that he says you called him up and told him to clean up his act. Did you do that?
No. I called Eddie Murphy because I had followed him at a couple of venues. And the people backstage told me how at certain times Eddie would take his wallet out and throw it down on the stage and tell people how much money he was making. My point was, don't throw your wallet down. Don't tell people how much money you're making, because these are the people who are paying to come and see you. That's a mistake.
Does it bother you when other comics use your material?
No, they're welcome to it. They're welcome to it because I think that you have to have something that you can be secure about. And, I mean, I've thought up routines, written them, and performed them, and found that some guy 2,500 miles away had the same thought. I mean, it has to be like that. But if it's my routine, I don't mind. I really don't mind it. What hurt me more was when we were doing the Motown show, and I had this dance that I wanted to do. And Levi Stubbs saw it and did it before I did it.
Okay. Can we see it?
You do see it. It's in the front of the Cosby Show.
Don't go away. There'll be more talk with Bill Cosby right after this.
Okay, unfurnished, I got it. How much is it?
$600 a month.
For one room?
Well, that's what they get nowadays. See, your timing is bad. Had you tried to move in here in 1942, you could have gotten the whole house for $250.
Welcome back to my conversation with Bill Cosby. He holds the Guinness World Record for being the highest paid performer in the world. I asked him if he felt guilty about pulling in that kind of money.
Oh, no, please. And don't even bother me about it.
Well, personally, I can't imagine why you would feel guilty about it, but some people probably have a problem with it.
People who are jealous. People who are jealous would probably want me to give it all away, or something terrible to happen so I would be broke again. But Mrs. Cosby has other thoughts about it. What's due me, I want. It's not that I want the same as everybody, because I'm not everybody. I want what's due me. And when I charge you something, then I go out and do that business. I mean, that's what this business is all about. And it's mine. And when I say mine, it's plural, because Camille Cosby is not mine, but we are. I happen to have hit a vein, and that's my vein. And I want my money. Because works very hard to make sure that the people get what they enjoy about me. All of a sudden, the media says he's making too much money. Oh, that's their problem. This train rolls whether I'm on it or not. There'll be others who will also become very, very rich along with being famous. But that's the turf. And I enjoy it. I've changed quite a bit because I really no longer trust the media.
Who do you trust?
I trust Camille Cosby. I trust Ennis Cosby, Erica Cosby, Aaron Cosby, Evan, and Insa. I trust, well, there's a long list.
But do they handle your money? Can you trust other people to handle your money?
No. No, you cannot trust other people to handle your money because there's no blood in it.
Well, how do you handle all of those types of things? You're very successful and famous and rich on the one hand, and on the other hand, there are betrayals. There are people trying to separate you from your money. There's always somebody who's going to sue for this or sue for that.
Yeah.
There's rejection that even comes, even if you are successful. There are things that don't always go well. How do you handle that?
I think on my level, I'm really tough. I don't like people to get away with things that are not fair. There's this woman. We copied a mural. It's a beautiful mural that these kids did. And this woman told the kids that we had stolen their mural and that we were taking the merchandising and we were going to make millions from this. And then she took the kids and there are a couple of other lies that she told. She then paraded them in front of the media. It's no story if this woman happens to be someone who is misguiding and misleading homeless children. It's a story if the wealthy Cosby show refuses to give these kids X number of dollars. But I said to this woman I was talking to who's writing for the Daily News, I said, Ruth, may I please add the simple fact that money does not buy morality. And if this woman is teaching these kids to be angry about the lies that she's telling, what amount of money is going to help these kids morally here?
Every single time one of us ever came to you for money, you started talking about this story. You know, when I was 7 years old, I used to have to wake up at 4:30 every morning.
Without an alarm clock. Couldn't afford an alarm clock.
Had to wake up by myself, had to get out and deliver newspapers.
But wait, you always have to brush your teeth first.
Had to brush my teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't have the money for a toothbrush, so I had to get
some bark, I believe it was.
No, it was a sassafras root.
Now, in this business, it's always a series of ups and downs.
Yeah.
There are times when you are riding the peaks, and
There you
sometimes
go.
you're in the valley.
Yeah.
Were you in a valley period before the Cosby Show?
No. No. Marcia, I work Las Vegas, I work Tahoe, Reno, and then I do concerts. I base everything on the rent and dry cleaning. First I pay the rent, then if I have some money left over, I try to get all my clothes out of dry cleaning. Now some days I don't always do that, you know. But I have never looked back in terms of what I've earned yearly. Even when I started my My salary was $60 a week. 3 months later, the man gave me a raise to $95. I went down to Dunhill's, bought a cigar. Smoked the thing. Can I tell this?
Sure.
This is funny. I don't know if it's going to be funny when I tell it. I went to Dunhill's when I got a raise to $95. By the way, the man who was my boss was an elderly white gentleman from Mississippi. Farthest south I had ever been was Maryland, okay? I was stationed at Bainbridge in the 50s. I had to, never mind.
Well, what happened to the cigar?
Thank you. So I bought this cigar. It was green, about this long. And the guy cut it for me. I mean, he nursed it and did it, and he lit it. I got a cigar because I'm making $95 a week. And I get on the bus. In those days, Fifth Avenue went both ways. Now I'm going down to the building. And I get no smoking on the bus, so I take the thing and I put the, but I keep, you know, I get on, I'm sitting there, and I begin to smell, you know, and I look, so I look at my shoes, and it's not, you know, it isn't there, but New York in those days, people didn't curb the dog, they just, the dog, and you know, you'd be walking, all of a sudden you feel your foot smooth out. And so I was looking, and people were sitting back there, and I started to get angry with the people. I didn't say anything to them, but somebody's got some stuff on their shoes, and they're sitting here, and they're stinking the place. The whole bus was just stinking, and looking at them. And I rode for many blocks just blaming the people, and finally I did like this, and it was the cigar. You know, the fact that the fact that I put it out, and then the smoke and what was burning, it smelled just like the dog stuff. You know, so I just, but then I remembered I paid 35 cents for it. I said, well, it smells better when you light it.
Now, I have one more question to ask you. You are very involved with black colleges.
Yes.
Why the commitment to black colleges when you didn't go to black colleges? And how does that affect black students who find themselves in mainstream universities?
Yeah, that's they feel left out. However, they don't realize that Bill and Camille Cosby have set up scholarships in the integrated schools. My son goes to an all African-American male school. I sent him there because I didn't want him to have to put up with the BS that goes on in these integrated schools. He's there to get an education, not to answer some 12-cent bigot on how he got in or why he's there. I support these schools because they are America. These schools were founded by white people who felt in those days that the slaves ought not be ignorant. They ought to know how to read and write and add, and they ought to, these things that are, in terms of law, denied them. And so, with these people giving, these African-American colleges, predominantly, Howard University graduates more international people than any college in the United States of America, every year. It's a gift to the United States of America to have these African-American kids have a school that they can go to that strengthens them so that when they come out, 42% of them are going on to graduate school, 52% of them already have jobs. These are not gifts, these are because these kids have worked hard. Now, what I've found is that the integrated schools are so polluted with their crap, the racial crap that goes on about why are you here and this has to be affirmative action and you got and what did you, that these kids form a big circle and sit in the black area cafeteria, and they look at the white people evil and talk about they're going to take over, and they don't take over. And for them, after a while, it gets to the point where all they want to do is graduate. So they accept a C average and get the hell out of there. They don't do that at Morehouse. They don't do that at Bethune-Cookman. They're after the education.
Cosby has battled a lot of people in his career, but now he's facing some of his stiffest competition, a cartoon.
You bring out a little Bart Simpson dude, you know, and these people don't know, they have no idea why Bart Simpson is popular. And if you ask the intellectuals who are writing pro-Bart Simpson, all they know is, yeah, it might get rid of the Cosby Show. But like a fella said one time, a guy said, Bill, it just seems like it's Cosby bashing time. People, is it because you're too rich, you're too famous, and and the guy said, it's too late.
But aren't you almost damned if you do or damned if you don't? I mean, you take the Cosby Show. It's a very successful show, but then there are people who say, why not? Well, how come nothing bad happens on that show? How come you with 5 kids, they're never in any trouble? How come we don't reflect that part of life?
When I took the show on, it was my idea to give people an alternative about working with their kids.
Dad, look at me. I'm a 6th grader in a 5th grader's body.
Look, there's something that perhaps the two of us can share. There was a boy in our class, 6th grade, had a mustache. And man, I just admired that so much. I wanted a mustache, and my little bald upper lip was just shining out there. And this guy had a comb. He would comb it, and then sometimes he would trim it till it was real thin, you know. Then sometimes he'd let it go, and he'd drink milk, and it was still around his mouth. My milk fell all down in my mouth. And I developed something that this guy with the mustache didn't have, and all the others didn't have.
What?
One day, I did an imitation of our vice principal, Mrs. Mars, and all the girls loved it. And it was something that guy couldn't do with the mustache. It isn't so much that Cliff is perfect. It is that Cliff and Claire give an alternative. Those who are jealous and or just plain stupid, envious, will look at it and say that those people are perfect. They're just too perfect for me. But the whole idea behind it was to teach. I cannot tell you how many letters we get from lower economic people who say, I saw a different way to deal with my kid other than slamming him up against the wall. The best job that I can do, and the one that I enjoy the most, is to say, this is what's happening in the family. Here's how we deliver love. Here's how a husband can get with the wife. Here's the romance of the two, and this is what happens, and this is family and generation. And that other stuff that's happening, well, you're just going to have to deal with that out there, period.
Well, if you had a patient, can that patient be your cousin?
Of course.
Would you treat that patient like a cousin? Or that patient like a patient?
I would treat the cousin like a patient.
Good.
Yeah.
I was hoping you'd say that.
Okay. Is anything wrong?
No, no.
Ah.
I was just wondering if you would consider taking me on as a patient.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, there you go. You got it. My patient.
Could you give me a prescription for birth control pills?
One last question. What's wrong with the world? Thank you. I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you very much for being here.
That was almost, you were doing all right till that point.
Well, that's why I saved it till last. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for letting me talk.
Anytime.
No, because at home, you're the only woman I know who will let me talk.
You know, talking to Bill Cosby was probably one of the biggest thrills of my career. A man who does every phase of comedy well. And he proved to be a very gracious and warm man to boot. I enjoyed it very much, and I thank him.
So I had no running water, so we had to go out and get a handful of snow.
I believe that it was winter 365 days of the year.
And every day the snow came
up to here.
I went to milk the cow. I had no bucket.
Or I didn't have any shoes either.
No, didn't have any shoes.
Well, I had to just squirt the milk in the palm of my hand. And I had to hop 3 miles through the house.
With no shoes.
Hopped on one foot to keep the other foot warm.
Some of our audience members